Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything. Yes, we are back again into that space, the World Cafe Live show. You know how we do it on the show? Yes, we come into that space to do what? Lean on one another's experience to forge a positive path. Wonderful. How are you doing? Beautiful where you are. I'm good. It's been wonderful. A sunny day, pretty cool around here where I am. Pretty cool. What are we going to be doing today? You are seeing it on the screen. Yes, the mind of innovation with Dr. Noel Akbata. The mind is such a pretty wonderful thing, a gift that God gave to us. When you harness the potential of your mind, oh, your environment falls within that sphere of your mind. Yes. Now, I'm going to do the show differently today. This person, I mean, he's wonderful. I'm going to read, as in the bio, the introduction or whatever, before I bring him on, and we will go on from there. Dr. Noah Lakpata is a seasoned innovation strategy consultant, social innovator, I beg your pardon, impact investor, and global business speaker. After undergoing a massive career transition from medicine and surgery driven by purpose, mm, passion, and a need for excellent performance, Dr. Noah Lakbata over the years has developed a massive interest and harnessed necessary skill in the areas of strategy and execution, social innovation, human resource development, project management, social business sector development, and national development, making him highly sought after. He is a renowned knowledge expert, speaker at several global meetings, mostly especially the prestigious Horace's World Economic Forum for emerging markets events which brings together chairmen, CEOs of some of the world's trade leading firms alongside global political leaders, an event described as the new Davos. Yes, he is currently serving as the African director for the Horace's World Economic Forum for the emerging markets and has created veritable platforms for economic and political integration. He chaired the Nigerian China Netherlands Forum at Horace's, which held its first session at the Global China Business Meeting at The Hague, Netherlands. That was in November 2013. In 2015, he founded Nigeria's Electricity Market Summit Group and became one of the select Africans to be invited to the prestigious Rossetti Forum, which is named at the member of the Italian private think tank and the fourth in Europe in the University of Pennsylvania's Global Go-To Think Tank Index report. He founded and built strategy for the National ICT Youth Empowerment Scheme in partnership with an arm of government, the National Information Technology Development Agency, currently being executed nationwide in the nation of Nigeria. He is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, International Council of Consulting Institutes, and a certified management consultant of the International Council of Consulting Institutes. You'll be wondering, who is this guy? Okay, you want to see him. I want to see him like you too. Let me bring him on. And there he is, Dr. Noah Lakbata. How you doing?
Fantastic, Samuel.
Reading that profile, one will wonder, who is this guy? Is he a human being?
Come on.
I mean, is he in this galaxy or another galaxy? How are you?
I'm very fine, sir. I'm very fine.
Welcome,
I'm
welcome,
glad to be
welcome to
here.
the pleasure. So, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm great. How are
All
you
right.
two?
I'm good. I'm good. Now, I don't know where to start from, but I just want to ask, who is this guy, no, Dr. Noah Lakbata? I've read one or two things about him, but let's hear it, like we will say, the leap of the lion.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this kind opportunity you have presented to me. I do not take it for granted, and
You're welcome.
I am excited to be part of your vision.
Pleasure.
When you say who am I think I would answer from a multidimensional perspective,
Mm,
which is, first of all, I understand where I'm from. okay, and where I'm from guides my identity, it guides my mandate, it guides my reason for being, and
Mm,
I have a firm understanding, about my creation, about why I was sent to this earth, and why I was gifted the way I was gifted, and given the kind of abilities I was given. So
mm,
I'm pretty much clear about God's mandate upon my life and why He created me, and what
mm,
exactly He wants me to do in the world. So that has guided my trajectory of activities over the years, spanning several sectors, across several kinds of networks,
mm,
um, in public and private sector, and all of that. That has defined the kind of person I am. I do not take for granted the opportunity God has given to me, especially opening the kind of doors He has opened,
mm,
bringing me in front of the kind of people He has brought me in front of. So basically, this is Noah. He's someone who understands why he's in the world. He's someone who understands the mandate upon his life as a nation builder.
mhm,
He's someone who is not just talking about it, but walking the talk, as it
mm,
were, and seeing how he can utilize his walk on the face of the earth to inspire others to also, execute on their own dreams and their own mandates as well. So, in a nutshell, that is who I am. I don't think there's anything added to this man. I'm just
beautiful.
I'm just a man on a mission, and when that mission is done, I will drop this body, and my spirit will return to my maker. So basically, that's who I
Amazing.
am.
There's something about people who know who they are. The world gives way for them to just leave and exhibit, give off that essence that God has placed in them. And hearing you speak, it's not like let me not say it as in out of place. You're not bragging. I know who I am. Like I know who I am. I know my identity. So the world has no choice but to listen to me. Open up because I am here for a reason. Amazing. Now, going through your profile, this guy studied medicine and surgery. How come he left that and went into that space of innovation, entrepreneurship, and all that? What happened?
Okay. I schooled in Edo State, University of Benin Demonstration Secondary School to be precise.
Okay.
And in my class, in the class I was in secondary school, I was the best in my class. And
Okay.
I'm in my set. I wouldn't say I was top three or anything, but I was one of the very good ones.
Mm,
But somewhere along the line, I made a decision to read medicine because I felt I could. It wasn't a decision that I made in consultation with my creator at the time, because I didn't have a
mm,
relationship with him at that time. There was
okay.
there was there was no point where I had a conversation with God to ask him what exactly I wanted to do. It was just based on the fact that I felt I could do it. I was
Mm,
intelligent enough to do it. I left UDSS with about 8 distinctions out of 10, and I felt it was the next best thing to do. Just going into medicine was a prestigious course. A lot of my friends were also going into medicine at the time. But something critical happened to me that could have helped me make a better decision, but I didn't listen. I took the JAMB exams, and of course, I was confident I was going to take on that exam,
mm,
and deal with it with aplomb. But something very phenomenal happened when the results came out. Um, I went to check the result with my father at the time with a lot of confidence. But my father is his friend, and
okay.
we went to the University of Benin where the
Mm,
results were displayed, and I checked the results, and out of 400, I scored 125 or 124 thereabouts.
whoa.
I was devastated because I knew that that wasn't my result. So you could see the disappointment in the face of my father and his friend, because they knew that I was intelligent and they couldn't
Mm,
understand why I was scoring 128. I went straight to the home of the man who sat beside me during the exam and actually did a lot of copying from my work.
mm,
at, at the time, he was my friend, and I couldn't. I needed to cross check his work to find out. But probably I was crazy or something, or I was living in an
yeah.
alternate world. I couldn't understand what was happening to me. and he had checked his result, and I think he scored 225.
You don't
And
say.
and then I knew there was a problem somewhere. I knew I was in I knew I was in a deep well.
Yeah.
And the next day, somebody advised I check the JAMB office because when they at that time they displayed it
Yeah.
at the university. They also display another, the exact replica at the JAMB
Hmm.
office. So I went there, and I saw no result. There was no result for me. My result was black. So it was obvious that something was wrong. And it kind of like gave me some hope because I felt, okay,
Mm.
no result. That means that 125 I saw was definitely
Was
not my
not
result.
yours.
Yeah. So I was going to head to the main office in Lagos to then check my result. I went to my father to the main JAMB office, and of course, the Nigerian factor hits me. We were asked to pay a small token for my real results to be brought out. And my father wasn't going to be having that. He was like, he knows his son. He knows I could pass this exam without any of this. Why should he pay a token for a
Yeah.
result that he knows that, I scored, you know, definitely well enough to move to the next level? And my father refused. And I wrote a letter demanding for my results to be released. And I think that was the wrongest thing I was going to do because it was more like saying, okay, you want to call our bluff. We're asking you to
Yeah.
give us a token and you're writing the letter, and that was it. They gave me the same 125 that I complained about. they, they,
Whoa.
they gave me the same 125 I was complaining about, and my world crumbled. I couldn't believe what was happening to me. All the first batch for the University of Benin came out for medicine came out. 90% of my friends went in.
You're in school.
I was in Lagos waiting and hoping that something was going to happen, you know, but nothing happened. I came back to Benin and I was devastated. I hardly read for the next JAMB exams. I passed that exam with flying colors. And my preparation for that one was nothing compared to the first one. But
Hmm.
I passed. I picked the cutoff mark. But something had happened to me inside. Something had
Something
shifted.
broke.
Something broke. Something had shifted on the inside. My total perception about academics, the academia, and all of that had
Mm.
shifted. I'd started asking myself certain questions. Is this what I really wanted to do? Was God trying to stop me from doing something? I started asking myself a whole lot of questions up
Yeah.
until the 200 or 300 level when I listened to one man. His name is Dr. Miles Monroe. I don't like calling him late because I think he's still alive.
He's very much alive. He's very much
But
alive.
I listened to him when he spoke about purpose, and
Yeah.
I think he spoke about purpose at on the Azusa platform.
Yeah.
I can never forget that video. I watched and rewatched that video, and it totally shifted my perception. It totally changed my life. It had a lot of negative impact on my work in the medical field because I totally lost. When I say I totally lost, I mean it. I totally lost passion for medicine. I suddenly didn't want to go to class anymore. I didn't want to read medical books anymore. I was more interested in reading material that was in line with where I knew I was going to
Mm.
be headed, immediately I left medical school. So that that
Yeah.
that was the driving force. That was the the change that happened in me while in medical school. And by the time I was done with medical school, when I was done with my house job, I said this was it. I had to go ahead and build, what God wanted me to do, and that's exactly what I'm doing today.
Amazing story. It's like saying your story is like saying a mistake that redirected you to
Oh
what
yeah.
you were born to do, more or less.
Oh
W-
yes. Oh
In
yes.
quote, a mistake, in quote, but rather
Yeah.
you could see God orchestrating all of this and bringing you into that zone. Now, I'm
Exactly.
going to go straight into this question because I know somehow you've listened to Dr. Marks Monroe, and you got your whole head, should I say, rewired, reset, and
Yeah.
all that. Now,
Yeah.
somebody came into your life, or you met somebody
Yeah. Yeah.
who, should I say, further strengthened your conviction within this space. His name is Feladu Rotoye. Let me hear that story. How did it go?
Yeah, I think it was sometime I was in medical school, and I was desperately in search for someone who was thinking nation building, who was thinking in line with where I knew I was going. I needed to connect with that person because there's something very critical about discovering your vision. You know,
Hmm.
you have to align with people who are going in the same direction as you.
True.
You cannot find yourself in the midst of people who are going in an alternate direction. It's going to cripple
Mm.
you. So someone mentioned him. Someone talked about him, what he was talking about, the work he was doing across the country at the time. And I remember I sent him an email. I sent him an email asking to meet with him, to talk with him,
Mm.
just have a very brief conversation about my destination, my travel in medical school, because I was done. I was in there, but I was done. I was totally
Mm.
just floating. What saved me was the intelligence I have, because if God didn't bless me with that level of intelligence, I probably could have dropped out of medical school or be kicked out
Mm.
because with the level I was attacking my courses, other people would have failed out. They wouldn't have made it to final year. But I just kept myself in there, but the passion was missing. Everything was gone. I wasn't concentrating. I was concentrating more on economic issues, national
Mm.
development issues. People around me thought I was crazy. They thought I was mad. They thought something is definitely wrong with this guy,
You
and
were
and
you were seeing medical you were seeing the medical book like trees, more or less. Like
I'm telling you,
I'm not here with you. I'm not here with you.
it was, I remember I would look at my consultants. I didn't want to be like any one of them. I couldn't
Oh.
find them. I respected them, but I didn't want to be like them.
Mhm.
I didn't want to walk their journey. My colleagues would come back from discussion classes and talk excitedly about one thing they read
Mm.
somewhere and I'll just be looking at them with this blank stare, and
Mm.
they knew something was wrong with this guy, but they couldn't place it at the time. But I'm sure now everybody can place it because they now
Yeah.
see where the journey has taken you to. So I contacted Fela, and he responded. Uh, the fantastic gentleman that he is. He responded telling me he was coming to Benin at the time to train all states trust bank. I can never forget that experience. He was going to be training the management team on a couple of issues, and I think he was doing it on a nationwide basis. So he was going from state to state, handling their
To see.
branches. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he came to Edo State. I booked him into a hotel. I remember it was Precious Palm Royal Hotels at the time. I booked him
Mm.
into the hotel. Attended the training sessions with him, and when I watched his sessions and what he was talking about, his disposition, the trajectory of his thoughts, I
Mm.
knew this was the person I needed to connect with. And
Mhm.
he was very welcoming. We talked about where I was headed. I wasn't too sure. We prayed together. When he got to Lagos, he asked me to step into Lagos whenever I could when I was done with medical school, so that
Mm.
I could start moving in that direction. I got into Lagos, went to his house. I stayed in his house for a while. So he's just a phenomenal fellow. He's somebody that understands nation building. He understands
Mhm.
his mandate, and he has spent a good portion of his life building leaders that will take the concept and the philosophy of nation building to the streets. And that's what he has successfully done and what he's still doing till today. I celebrate that man.
Beautiful. You know how I describe him. If you've watched the carbonara effect, there's this magical whatever. I call I call him the FD effect. You know,
Mm,
not like blowing his trumpet. He understands, just like what you just described now. He
yeah,
understands why he is here, and
yeah,
he's so passionate about it. He meets you with so much energy the way he meets the next person with the same amount of energy. And
yeah,
everybody who comes away from meeting him, you just like, what just happened to me? I
exactly.
just had this shift in my spirit or something. So I
Yeah, yeah,
describe him in my own way, the
yeah,
FD effect. And hearing it from your voice, I can relate with it.
oh
I
yeah,
can. Right. So
phenomenal.
after then, what happened? So where did you pick up from? What happened?
Okay, I went straight up to create my company, and you know, doing that without the experience,
Mm-hmm.
in quotes, that the market desires. The market desires you to have certain levels of experience. They want
Yeah.
to hear you have your masters from here. They want to hear you
Mm.
have your PhD from there.
Mm.
That's how they ascribe respect to you as far as the industry is concerned. Now,
Is concerned.
I knew that I was getting into that industry coming from a totally different sector. I was coming from the health sector, and I was going to be competing with people who have multiple master's degrees in economics, in business administration, in
Mm-hmm.
whatever. They've added PhDs to that, but I wasn't bothered because I knew that I had understood my mandate from quite a while back. I had
Mm.
started building myself, just like David. I had started killing my lions and my bears, way
Mm-hmm.
back in the forest. So I
Mm.
was pretty much ready. And I
Mm.
remember the first organization I handled was Zenith Bank, in collaboration with the last firm.
Yeah.
And I handled Zenith Bank for almost a year, and the impact was phenomenal. And after Zenith Bank, I did a couple of projects with some other institutions, and I realized that my work in the with private sector organizations wasn't all there is to it. And
Mm.
I needed to start building capacity to start dealing with the public sector. I
Yeah.
built capacity in those areas, taking loads of courses, attending loads of seminars, interacting with loads of mentors, uh, finding myself on some of the largest platforms in the world and gaining experience from interacting with peers from across the globe. So I ventured into public sector innovation strategy
Mm.
way back in 2012, 13.
Okay.
Handling the power sector transformation with the Transmission Company of Nigeria and the Federal Ministry of Power.
Mm.
I held several retreats with the management team, trying to craft a direction for the power sector in
Mm.
Nigeria. It was on the back of that I created the Nigerian Economic Summit Group to have first-hand experience, bringing all the players together to
Mm-hmm.
answer this one question: Why does Nigeria not have power? Why will a country like Egypt add 30,000 megawatts between 2015 and 2021 to their grid, and we're
Mm.
still struggling with maximal 6,000 megawatts? Why is our grid still so weak? Why is it always collapsing? Why can't it handle a particular amount of power generated from the generating companies, and why can't it transmit enough power to the distribution companies? Why can't the distribution companies distribute enough power? So I needed to bring all the players into one room and
Yeah.
hear them talk to one another, and see how we could innovate on their knowledge to
Yeah.
create a pathway forward. We did 2 or 3 editions of that, bringing all the major players together, from government and private sector, to sit down and orchestrate a move forward.
Yeah.
And after dealing with the private sector, we have done the same thing in the agricultural sector, and all of that. So basically, this has been the discovery for me, understanding that, look, yes, you can do this with the private sector, you can make money from them, you can do this and do that, but nation building, as it were, bringing private and public sector players together
Together.
to innovate on a pathway forward, the best
Mm.
possible pathway forward, to the betterment of the country. That's what I've been involved in for quite a number of years now, and we're taking it to the next level very soon. That would impact upon every soul in this country. I guarantee you on that within the next two or
Beautiful.
three years.
I like your energy. I like your energy. It's like somebody listening to you. Like, is there hope in all of this? Is there hope? Looking at our country and what the power sector and all that. But listening to you, the passion with which you're delivering this tells me this guy knows what he's doing. And honestly, give him that chance. You would just see the whole place come alive like a Christmas tree. Now, 2023 is around the corner. I want us to dwell a little bit on that, because it's like Nigerians, the younger generation, is looking for hope as you are now delivering. What's your take on the forthcoming election?
Okay, basically, Nigeria is looking for a real leader.
Take
Um,
that
the,
again.
co- Nigeria is looking for a real leader. And a real leader is one who understands what it means to competitively position your country amongst the global community of nations.
Mm,
So, and I'll explain what I've just said.
please do.
The- There are five, there are five factors that affect how competitive a country will be. And
Mm,
I'll give examples, relative to that comment and how it affects Nigeria and other countries as well.
all right.
Um, the number one factor that affects, the number one reason, or the number one determinant of a nation's competitiveness, we call them factor conditions or factors of production. All
Mm-hmm.
right, and you have basic factors and you have advanced factors. The basic
Yeah.
factors include, natural resources. So a country has a huge deposit of oil, or a country discovers huge gas deposits. A country finds it has huge forest reserves. All these kinds of things. Those are basic factor conditions. So you see a country like Saudi Arabia that has huge deposits of oil and has built its global competitiveness based on how it utilizes its oil resource.
Yeah.
You see a country like Qatar that has huge gas resources and has competitively positioned itself amongst the global community of nations because of how it uses and how it deploys that factor condition. So
Yeah.
we then go into advanced factor conditions that have to deal with the people on the land. Okay,
Yeah.
their level of education. When I'm talking of education now, I'm talking of how advanced their secondary, their tertiary educational system is, how
Yeah.
advanced their vocational educational system is. So you see
Mm,
a country like Japan, you see a country like China, you see a country like Germany,
mm-hmm.
having very strong vocational educational systems
Yeah.
compared to other countries, which makes them more competitive when it comes to their levels of production and exports and all of that. Okay, then
Yeah.
you go to the second reason why a country or a nation outperforms another country, and Professor Michael Porter calls it demand conditions.
Mm,
Okay, and by demand conditions, it means how much of how much the people of a country buy their own products.
yep.
Okay, that would
Yep.
determine how competitive they would be. Okay, so you see that, let's take the Germans for instance. They buy German. The
Yep.
French buy French products. The
Yep.
German will never agree with you that a French car is better than a German car. It is just not possible. Okay, now because they do that and the demand, the in-country demand is very strong, it affects the demand outside of the country, and you see more people from outside the country seeking to buy their products because of the strong demand and the strong confidence the people of that country have in their own products.
Yep.
In Nigeria, for example, we don't have a strong demand for our products. Our women do not believe in their own hair. They don't believe in their own makeup. They don't believe in a lot of the things that they put on. We don't believe in our producers. A Nigerian creates a drone. We don't want to. We're not interested in that. We want to buy the drone that is made in America or made in
Mm.
Germany or whatever. We want to buy made in. We want to buy champagne from all over the world, but we don't want to explore our
Pizza.
homemade
Pizza
food.
from it. Pizza from
Yeah,
Italy.
exactly. So we don't have strong in-country demand driving, our global competitiveness. That's number two. Number three is the business structure within a country, how competitive they are amongst themselves. Okay, now you take a country like Japan. If I ask you, for instance, to mention five Japanese automobile brands, I'm sure you won't have a problem mentioning them. You would mention
Never.
Toyota, you would mention Nissan, you
Yeah.
would mention, all these
Mazda.
brands,
Yeah.
Mazda, just you could just keep going on and on. Now, because of the level of innovation and competition amongst these brands within Japan, their competition is so strong that they now outcompete other brands from other countries. So,
Mm.
so in Nigeria, we do not have that level of competition amongst companies within certain sectors. Rather, you see monopolies. Dangote is a monopoly in this sector. Innocent is a monopoly in the sector. You don't have that strong level of competition, amongst companies within a particular sector that will drive in-country and cross-border demand. And the fourth reason that affects, the competitiveness of a nation is I call it clusterization. The presence of different industries, different factors of production within a particular space. So
Yeah.
you go to Shenzhen in China, you see that they're producing a particular brand of electric car in Shenzhen, and the
Yeah.
guys producing the battery is just next door. The guys producing the tires are just next door. The university that trains the people that feeds them into the production line, they are just next door. You can find all of them within a particular cluster, which
Cluster.
enables that kind of competitiveness coming out of that country. In Nigeria, you really don't have that. And the fifth reason, which is the most important reason of all, is the role of government in driving, the competitiveness of a country.
Mm-hmm.
A strong leader, a strong government with strong institutions definitely impacts on all these factors I just mentioned that drives a nation's global competitiveness. So what Nigeria is looking for right now is a leader that understands global competitiveness, global competitive positioning, and is able to cast a long-term vision that is able to inspire the Nigerian people to follow has lacked for a number of years. And
Yeah.
we desperately are seeking for that kind of leader, and we hope that Nigerians will look at the aspirants that have presented themselves. As much as possible, I try to stay because of the institutions I represent, I try to
Mm-hmm.
stay as apolitical as I can, but I do
Yeah.
know who I'll be voting for. And but I'm not going to be, taking my own decisions and putting it on people. But I
Yeah.
just want Nigerians to look at all the aspirants carefully, look at their backgrounds, look at what they have done over the years, look at their understanding of global competitive positioning. Where do they want to put Nigeria as far as oil value addition is concerned the next 10 years?
Yeah.
Where do they want to put Nigeria as far as competitiveness in gas and gas productivity is concerned the next 10 years?
Yeah.
The Minister of State for Petroleum just said that the Nigerian gas reserves are worth 800 trillion US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
It's a naira, 800 trillion US dollars. Nigeria is a very rich country. But how can Nigeria take advantage of the current Russian-Ukraine crisis to position itself as a preferred supplier of gas to Europe and the Americas? We need a leader that has that foresight and has that vision to sit on the table with global leaders and negotiate a deal for Nigeria because of the kinds of resource we have, especially as gas is concerned. Do you understand? So we need that kind of mind. We need that kind of mind that can pull the right people together in his team to position Nigeria, on certain levels as far as, the global community of nations are concerned. Nigeria needs to be talking about, we need to be top 3 here, top 4 there, top 10 here, top 6 in Africa as far as this is concerned. We don't have that. You just have someone who just says, okay, I have done a project. But how does that project make Nigeria competitive in this area? You don't just put a rail somewhere. That rail must be connected to somewhere that is bringing out something to make Nigeria competitive at something amongst other nations. That's how it works. That's how it works. You don't looking at. Let me give an example with the power sector. And one of the administration, I don't want to call their name now.
No worries. Go ahead.
Just started building, power stations, generating stations, across the country, arbitrarily. And these stations were not connected to gas reserves. So you see a power station built in a particular place, and there is no gas. There is nothing on ground to power that station to generate electricity. That gas station was just put there for sentimental reasons to just please certain people. It had no strategy whatsoever backing that kind of decision. So we need leaders who are thinking. We need leaders who will sit down and say, we want to make Nigeria competitive at X, And to do that, we have to have a gas station here. We have to have a rail network here. We have to have this. And this is how this will feed into this and that will feed into that. And at the end of the day, when we do our performance monitoring and evaluation, we can now say that Nigeria is top 5 or top 6 after the next 5-6 years. That is how a leader should be thinking, and that is the kind of leader that we want. And I think that 2023 gives us that opportunity to vote that kind of person into position and hope that that person constitutes the requisite team, the kind of team that will take Nigeria in that direction.
And hope is the atom of life. When you have hope, I mean, it stirs you, propels you forward to think and to create and, to really live. Dr. Noel, I wish I can go on to have this conversation. I mean, from your voice, there's this passion, as in, I can't place it, but I know it's something, should I say, intoxicating. So what are you up to now? What are you up to? What's Dr. Noel doing now? What project are you on now?
Okay, in 2020, I led a delegation to have a private meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari to discuss the formation and execution of Horasis Africa. And in that meeting were key members of the Federal Executive Council, the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, the chairman of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, what I say president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and a lot of other captains of industry. And what I've been doing is to drive the Horasis agenda as far as Africa is concerned, but from a Nigerian perspective. We have a lot of economic development initiatives that we're going to be rolling out very soon. And coincidentally, after that meeting, Mr. President, I was nominated to join. I was nominated and appointed to join the World Social Innovation Forum. The World Social Innovation Forum is based in Silicon Valley, and it's trying to position itself as the World Economic Forum from a social innovation perspective. So bringing these two leading institutions together and wearing both hats as far as the African continent is concerned, it puts me in a position to drive a lot of developmental initiatives to the benefit of my country and as a spillover effect to the benefit of my continent. So within the next couple of months, we'll be rolling out some of these initiatives. Some of them are in agriculture. Some of them will definitely benefit the productivity of Nigerian farmers and their ability to easily track and trace their products and make their products easily accessible to global markets. We have fine-tuned relationships in that area, and we're bringing that to bear, in collaboration with the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, the Ministry of Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and a lot of other factors, a lot of other institutions as well. We're also going to be intervening in the health sector. We'll be unveiling a nationally televised series that will drive the transformation of tertiary healthcare institutions across the country, where we're going to be mobilizing resources from private sector entities within and outside the Horasis framework to see how we can impact upon tertiary healthcare in Nigeria, putting world-class equipment in these hospitals, building the capacity of our doctors to meet a global demand and all of that. So we're starting basically in these key sectors, health and agriculture, and then we hope to impact other sectors as well. So there's a lot coming. We're having interactions on a daily basis with all the stakeholders. We've had massive support from this administration, I must say. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, I think I met with him close to about 3 or 4 times. The Vice President's office, who coincidentally heads the National Economic Council, they have been very supportive. The Nigerian Governors Forum has been very, very, very supportive. The Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, our anchor government partner, have been very supportive. The Office of the President, the Nigerian Agribusiness Group, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, all these institutions have been very, very supportive, to ensuring that we execute on our mandate. So there's a lot coming, and I think that Nigerians will be better for it at the end of the day.
Beautiful. Guys, we've been talking with Dr. Noah Lakpata, the mind of innovation. You will agree with me, who've been having a swell time. You can hear from his voice that passion that translates into portfolio, tangibility. This is amazing. So, where do we catch Dr. Noah Lakpata if we want to catch him? Like, I want to connect with you. How do we do that?
Okay, for very personal reasons, I'm very cautious of my presence on social
Okay.
media.
Okay.
I'm totally not on Instagram. I am not on Twitter. I'm only on Facebook, or scarcely on Facebook. So you can catch me on my Facebook page. But I think
Okay.
that will become very active, in the next couple of months. You can also
All
catch
right.
me on my website. You could join my community on my website where I share
Okay.
more, and we'll be sharing a
Okay.
lot more as we begin to execute on some of our initiatives that would impact upon the nation positively. And
Beautiful.
yes, I forgot to mention this. In collaboration with the Office of the President, we'll be launching the Presidential Innovation Investment Forum
Okay.
sometime in late August. Yeah.
Okay.
So hardware innovators, software innovators will have an
Mm,
opportunity to present their innovations for possible financial support, for possible technical support from the
mm.
government of Nigeria and the international community. I'll be speaking about that on my website and on Facebook within the next couple of months. So you can catch me on those platforms so that you can get
Okay.
first-hand information by the time we're about to roll out these activities. Yeah. So that's how
Beautiful.
I can be caught.
Beautiful. Like I said earlier, hope is the atom of life. And Dr. Noel is just giving us that atom, or should I say, those atoms that come together to form the molecule and all that. We're so grateful. He's a very busy person. And I want to say a very big thank you for taking out this time, to come into the studio and share with us and give us. Now, before I let you go, I want you to encourage that word that you always encourage yourself with when you are surrounded with so many challenges. Encourage my audience with that.
Okay, I would say this, and I'm looking straight to the camera and addressing your audience so that they would have a perfect understanding of what I'm talking about. Now, when God created man and created the world, um, what he did was to create a system, and he created an entity called man to govern the
Mm,
system he had created, which is the earth. That is why
mm,
he's called the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He created kings and he created lords. Kingship is a function of governance. You were first of all a king before you were ever called a Christian. And your kingship is about territory, and your territory is psychological. It is in the minds of people. And you're gifted in a particular way. You're given a particular ability to penetrate the minds of people so that you can now
mm,
deliver the mandate of the kingdom into those minds. So, everybody watching me, understand this: your life is relevant. You are a king, you are a lord. You may have made a mistake, you may be struggling with poverty or living under very stringent conditions, but that doesn't make you less of a king. You're just a king who is poor at the moment. You're just a
mm,
king who is living in squalor at the moment. But your
mm.
kingship will be unveiled very soon, as long as you continue working on your skills, as long as you continue sharpening your abilities. Like David, you will meet up with the kinds of people who understand your trajectory and will be ready to invest their resources to take your dream to the next level. Now, the responsibility is on you to keep that passion burning. The responsibility is on you to keep your talent and your gifts on the front burner and keep
Mm,
working on them. The
mm,
responsibility is on you to take yourself away from the naysayers. Cut them off. Cut them
mm,
off. You do
mm,
not need those voices. You need your ears, your spiritual ears need to be tuned to a different frequency. And you cannot afford certain people distorting that frequency with their frequency. So
mm,
you need to learn to love people, but at the same time cut them off, because as far as your purpose is concerned, where you're going and the display of your kingship mandate is concerned, you
mm,
don't need those kinds of voices.
mm.
So you take your vision, you test it out at a small level. You want to feed 1 billion people, that's fine. That's a great vision. Your father can do it. He can do it
Yeah.
through you. But start with feeding 5 people. Feed
Mm,
5 people on your street.
mm,
Document the process. What did it cost you to feed the 5 people? How much did it cost to bring those 5 people together? Document your process in pictures and in video. And after you've done that, go into the streets, go on LinkedIn and start telling business leaders across the globe how you have fed 5 people so that you can inspire those of them who have always had the dream of feeding 1 billion people to come and join your vision and
mm,
bring their resources to the table and say, we believe in you, we believe in your passion, we see what you have done with 5 people, and I'm going to invest 1 billion naira, and we're going to partner together and feed 1 billion people. That is how it works. So I encourage you, no matter how dark the road seems to be, your father is not dark. God is still on
mm.
the throne. He's still the king, and he has made you a king. That's why he's called King of Kings. And he's expecting that at the end of the day, you deliver on your mandate. You are not going to die filled with your potentials and your gifts. According to
Mm.
Dr. Miles Monroe, you are definitely going to die empty at the end of the day because you have given everything to the world on your dying day. And on your deathbed, people will be celebrating you. Nobody will be mourning. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Dr. Noel Akpata, I like that closing. You are a king. Build your process. Stay away from negativity.
Yeah.
Announce your success. And those who know what you are will partner with that success.
Oh, yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for listening. You know how we do it in this space. We come in to lean on one another's experience to forge a positive path. And you will agree with me, we've had a swell time with Dr. Noel on the show. But I have to go now. But you know how we say it on the show, till I come your way again. Bye for now.
Thank you very much.